Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, if you're keeping up with my videos, you'll know I'm fixing up this room here. And in the midst of that, I screwed up. I used the wrong caulking, silicone caulk. Yet again, the backstory. My wife checked on the caulk. The caulk said if it was the silicone number 2, I believe it was a-okay to paint over. She checked online. I hate reading, so I didn't even take a look at it. And unfortunately, there are 2 different kinds of silicone 2s that they have. One's paintable, one's not, and I chose the wrong one. So, if you're having this issue like I am, or trying to fix it, we're going to do a few testing things. So, first thing I'm going to Kills 2 latex multi-surface stain blocker. I'm going to paint some of that on there and see how that goes, just right over the top. The first one, these are different things I saw on the web. Several different people talked about them, so I'm not going to name any specific names, but the easiest one to me was using just primer over the top of it. This is the Kills primer that I showed you. You can choose whatever brand you want to be loyal to. So far it doesn't seem to be bubbling. There's a little bit of bubble. Yeah, it's bubbling up. Okay. Well, in my case anyway, it's a little better. If you really cake it on, you might get it to work. I'll go directly to the second one, which was the paint with primer is what I'm using, and a hairdryer. So watch your ears. It worked fairly well. I did notice, like when I went to go over it again with that hairdryer, it started drying really fast and it kind of clumped up in a couple spots, so you got to be careful with that. But that seems kind of like it worked, but there's a couple spots where it doesn't appear to have worked, so I'm going to leave that right there, let it dry the way it is. We'll come back over it with paint and we'll see what happens there. Next one that looked easier was sanding it. Now I got 80 grit here. I don't know what they used in anything else, but I'm going to take it and scuff it up with some 80 grit, and that might just get rid of it altogether. But anyway, I'm going to go along and do some scuffing. I'm going to paint this same as I did that with primer, and we'll see how well that works. This one is where I did the sanding from here over. Which, quite honestly, the sanding seems to have made almost more of a mess. Gonna let those dry, come back over them and paint them. Right now it's between primer and the hairdryer and sanding. I think sanding with hairdryer would probably be the best one, but honestly I'm hoping I don't have to sand, because there's lots of little flakes and things like that that came up. But I'm going to have alcohol. So I got isopropyl alcohol, it's 50%. I do have some stronger stuff, but I don't want to go find it. And I don't know if it's supposed to be isopropyl or rubbing, or if rubbing alcohol and isopropyl alcohol are the same thing. I honestly don't know. But it just said to wipe down with alcohol. So I'm going to wipe this with alcohol, and we will test that. This one's the alcohol. Alright, and I would say the isopropyl alcohol one failed pretty miserably. Definitely using the primer followed by using a hairdryer is the best method out of what I've showed so far. But here's the caveat on that. If you got a small area where you used a little bit on a wall, that'd be great. Where you plugged holes like I did here in the door, that'd be pretty good. Here's the problem I'm having. I've used this all over, all the way down. And just to do across here and across the bottom and up around here, you can only go about 8 or 10 inches at a time and blow dry it, and do another 8 or 10 inches and blow dry it, 8 or 10 inches and blow dry it. And it's just taking forever, and then we got to wait for it to dry to be able to paint it, which we're going to have to do anyway. So this is what I used: GE silicone 100% white. Unfortunately, it doesn't say paintable anywhere on here. When we went online, it said the silicone 2 was paintable. Well, it turns out this isn't the right silicone 2. They have two different silicone 2 products, and one's not paintable, one is. So what we did is we went online, kind of did a little bit of a complaint about that. I actually asked them, why isn't it working, kind of thing. We used the silicone 2, and we got a response back saying that there's a couple different kinds, which I don't think there should be. But the second thing was to use the silicone 2 paintable GE 7000 over the top of it. Went back to the store, and this is all I could find. It's a GE Supreme paintable silicone. They didn't have the silicone 2 paintable, and this stuff was like $8.22 a bottle, so it's quite a bit more expensive. Anyhow, so I went and grabbed some of this, and the reason for that is to paint and use the hair dryer on it. That was just going to take too much time, as I think I've put in this video already. But anyhow, so this is the way I'm going to go. I went ahead and covered all that up with this, all the way around the whole room. Now we're at the point where we need to paint, so hopefully we won't have any problems. Now I know there's going to be some spots here and there that I've missed, or where we have problems in places, and in that case I am just going to use the primer and the hair dryer and fix those spots as they show up. Like I said, that actually seems to be working really well, but if, according to their information that they sent back to us, this just is going to take, it took less time to just cover everything up that I could find with this, rather than go through and do it a little bit at a time. So that's where we're at. Like what I told you I'd talk about, or at least do a few different things, and this is another thing. This is plastic wood, but so this wasn't something somebody personally talked about online or anything we looked at, but it's a wood filler, and I did see a few things saying use a wood filler over the top of where you made your mistakes and sand it out and paint it, and that would cover it up. So that might be another option if for some reason that sounds better. All the gray is painted. I got a few touch-up spots here and there on top. All the way around the baseboard, all the gray is done. Around the windows, everywhere I did the caulking, the gray is done, except for on the windows, which is going a different color. And we did find a few spots here and there where it did kind of bubble through again, or I just missed putting over the caulk over the top of it. And we actually ended up using, we have it's Olympic paint, I don't know, it's a primer paint mix is what we bought. Which, if you plan on using that primer paint mix over a brand new wall, I would strongly recommend priming it, because we started using it and it was just soaking in the primer paint mix. So we went ahead and primered the rest of this wall and then painted it. Worked out a lot better that way, used a lot less paint. But I do like that primer paint mix. It kind of, I think, gives you that little extra, I don't know. But what we did in those spots was we actually just used the paint and the hair dryer, and that worked really well. So in the spots where I'm going over the window sills here with the black, that we're going to use black here, I'm just going to use the primer paint mix in the hair dryer, and I'm going to do that around here. You'll see that if you're interested in this room. I'm doing just kind of a updated room videos kind of thing. I built this closet here and a couple other things that I'm going to do in this room. So if you want to go see that stuff and see this room completely finished, or at least as finished as we're going to do it in this process anyway, go check out that video. Anyhow, so I would say in the end, to wrap it all up, I would definitely go with caulking like around the edges. Any places where you would normally put caulk, I would just caulk over the top of your silicone with a paintable silicone caulk. As far as nail holes and little spots here and there, go for the paint in the hair dryer. Especially, and like I said, we are using paint that has primer in it, so I don't know if that makes a difference than if you just used regular paint and tried it with a hair dryer. You'll have to do that on your own. But just using the paint and the hair dryer in like little nail holes on the wall and things like that where I used it, that seems to be working perfectly fine. So I think that's a video. Hopefully somebody got something out of this. I know I got a whole lot of frustration over it, and hopefully if somebody watches this, they won't have the same problems at all, but if they do, you'll know how to take care of it. This is Sam, jack of all, master of none. You all have a good one.